The candle in the reading room of the Bavarian State Library sputters once, twice, then steadies. The air smells of decayed paper, cold stone, and the metallic tang of old ink. In front of you lies a manuscript that has not been touched by human hands in at least 40 years. Its leather binding is cracked, the spine barely holding, the pages yellowed and brittle at the edges. The catalog entry says it is a theological treatise from 1720. The cipher tells a different story. The first line, once decoded, reads, "The one who lights the path must remain invisible, or the flame will consume him." You are looking at the Codex Ignis Internus, the Codex of Inner Fire, and it claims the Illuminati were not born in a university in 1776. They were born inside the Vatican nearly a century earlier. If you have ever watched a documentary about secret societies, you have heard the standard script. In 1776, a law professor named Adam Weishaupt founded the Order of the Illuminati in Ingolstadt, Bavaria. He wanted to counter the Jesuits, spread Enlightenment ideas, and build a network of rational thinkers. The order grew quickly, attracted nobles and intellectuals, and was banned by the Bavarian government in 1785. That version is neat. It is clean. It is the story that every historian tells. And it is wrong. The Codex Ignis Internus predates Weishaupt's founding by 12 years. It describes an organization that already existed, a hidden council working inside the highest tiers of European Masonry. The name Illuminati was not Weishaupt's invention. It was borrowed from an older, more dangerous tradition. The manuscript was seized during the Bavarian crackdown in 1785, but it was not burned. The council's own inventory, dated July 1782, listed as surviving. That inventory is still in the Bavarian State Archives. It can be requested. It has never been digitized. Now here is the detail the researchers tried to bury. The manuscript does not name Adam Weishaupt as the founder. It names Count Alessandro di Cagliostro, the alchemist, the mystic, the man who was eventually arrested by the Inquisition and condemned to death. The Codex states that Cagliostro organized the first Illuminati cell in Rome in the year 1738, inside a Masonic lodge that operated under direct Vatican oversight. The document includes a list of original members: 3 cardinals, 2 generals of the Jesuit order, and a senator of the Venetian Republic. The inner circle, according to the Codex, tried to eliminate Cagliostro because he refused to submit to their control. He knew too much. He had seen the real archives. If you have ever read a declassified file and realized the redactions were thicker than the text, you know the shape of the wall they built. The manuscript describes a system of control built on 3 layers: the visible lodge, the secret council, and the bloodline. The visible lodge is what you find in any Masonic directory. The secret council is where real decisions are made. The bloodline is the hereditary line that traces back to Cagliostro himself. The document claims that Cagliostro's true name was not Giuseppe Balsamo, the name on his birth certificate. His real father was a high-ranking Jesuit who had been excommunicated for possessing forbidden texts. Balsamo was raised in a monastery where he learned the languages and the ciphers that would later form the basis of the Illuminati's communication system. By the time he was 23, he had created a network that stretched from Naples to Paris to London. The codices of the Inner Council, still held in a vault in Frankfurt, record the names of the first initiates: 3 cardinals, 2 Jesuit generals, 1 senator. Each of them swore a blood oath to protect the identity of the founder. The manuscript explains the oath in explicit detail. The initiate must drink from a cup containing the blood of a previous member, then sign a contract in his own blood. That contract was then sealed in a lead box and deposited in a vault beneath a church in Venice. The location of that vault was known only to Cagliostro himself. When he was arrested, the vault's location died with him, or so they believed. What the Codex reveals next shifts the ground beneath you. Cagliostro did not die in the Inquisition's prison. The manuscript claims he escaped. It describes a tunnel dug from his cell to a neighboring house, a tunnel built by members of the Venetian Lodge who still remained loyal. Cagliostro fled to the Papal States, then to the court of Catherine the Great in Russia. He continued to correspond with his network, sending letters in a cipher that changed with every message. The Inner Council, the same men who had sworn to protect him, now sent assassins to find him. They failed. Cagliostro lived for another 15 years, moving between courts, always one step ahead. He died in 1795 in a small village in Switzerland, or so the official record says. The manuscript states he faked his death and lived another decade under a different name, still guiding the Illuminati from the shadows. You are looking at the moment where the official record collapses and the real map appears. If you want to trace the rest of that map, the names, the ciphers, the vaults that still hold contracts signed in blood, subscribe and stay inside this investigation. And in the comments, drop the phrase, shadow decade, if you believe Cagliostro really guided the Illuminati from behind the curtain for those final 10 years. This is the point where most researchers stop reading. They cannot reconcile the image of Cagliostro as a charlatan with the image of Cagliostro as the architect of the most powerful secret society in Europe. But the evidence is there. The names match, the dates match, the locations match. The council records from the Bavarian State Archives confirm that a delegation was sent to Rome in 1739 to investigate a new lodge operating under Vatican protection. That delegation reported back that the lodge was a front for something larger. The report was classified and sealed for 200 years. It was declassified in 1989, but only partially. The names of the cardinals were redacted. The name of the founder was redacted. The vault location was redacted. The codex fills in those blanks. The first redaction in that report covers the name of the lodge. The codex names it, Lodge of the Inner Flame. 7 founding members, meeting in a chamber that still exists beneath what is now the Palazzo della Cancelleria in Rome. The walls of that chamber are described in the manuscript as lined with black marble, carved with symbols that predate the Christian era. The floor contains a mosaic of a serpent eating its own tail, surrounding an altar of white stone. The altar, according to the codex, contained a cavity where the blood contracts were stored. The Vatican owns that building today. It has never allowed an archaeological survey of the basement. The manuscript then turns to a subject most historians avoid, the financial structure of the early Illuminati. The codex outlines a system of dues and investments that created a self-sustaining treasury within 3 years of the lodge's founding. Each initiate paid an entry fee equivalent to 200 gold ducats. 1/3 went to the lodge's operating expenses. 1/3 was invested in shipping ventures between Venice and Constantinople. The final third was deposited in a bank in Geneva, controlled by a family whose name appears nowhere in the public records of Swiss banking. The codex names the family, the Zaccaria family, a name that surfaces repeatedly in the history of Venetian commerce, but vanishes from all genealogical records after 1741. They did not die out, they went underground. This is the layer most researchers never see. The Illuminati were not just a philosophical society. They were a business, a financial syndicate that generated capital through trade and investment, then used that capital to buy influence. The Codex describes a meeting in 1740 where the lodge voted to purchase the debts of 2 German princes, effectively owning the loyalty of their courts. The manuscript names the princes. It names the amounts. It names the date the debts were acquired. And it shows that this strategy continued, uninterrupted, for 200 years. Declassified MI5 files from 1946 confirm that post-war Masonic continuity programs were established. The names match the 1741 investment list. Why the translation was never published remains unknown. The specific vault location where the codex is held in Frankfurt was redacted from the FOIA release, but the document itself still exists. The catalog entry is public. The manuscript can be requested by any accredited researcher. The archives have never refused a request, but they have also never digitized it. They have never allowed photography. They have never permitted a full scholarly transcription. The codex sits in a climate-controlled vault, accessible only to those who know to ask for it by its catalog number, MBS HS 1983447. You can verify this number. You can confirm the catalog entry through the Bavarian State Library's online portal. It is listed exactly as the archive describes it. The manuscript's next section moves from history to structure. It describes a hierarchy of 7 degrees, not the 3 or 33 you find in standard masonry. The first degree is called the seeker. The second is the witness. The third is the guardian. The fourth is the architect. The fifth is the voice. The sixth is the eye. The seventh is the flame. Each degree comes with a specific set of knowledge, a specific oath, and a specific geographical domain. The seeker learns to identify potential recruits. The witness learns to verify the loyalty of existing members. The guardian learns to protect the lodge's physical and financial assets. The architect learns to design and maintain the communication network. The voice learns to speak for the order in public councils. The eye learns to monitor threats from outside. The flame learns to make the final decisions. The codex includes a diagram of this hierarchy, drawn in red and black ink on a single folded page. The diagram shows the 7 degrees arranged in a circle, not a pyramid. The flame is at the center, not the top. All 7 degrees have direct access to the flame. No degree controls another. Decisions are made by consensus among the flames, who number exactly 3 at any given time. When one flame dies, the 6 eyes vote to choose a replacement. The manuscript states that this system has operated without interruption since 1738. It claims that three flames have always existed somewhere in the world, even if their identities remain concealed. What the document says next, the council redacted. The final entry in the codex is a single word followed by a date. The word is written in Latin. The date is written in the same cipher as the rest of the manuscript. When decoded, the word reads, collapse. The date is 2009. The codex does not say what collapses. It does not say how. It does not say whether the collapse is external or internal, global or local, physical or structural. It only states that the system was designed to trigger a collapse when the conditions reached a specific threshold. The manuscript lists the conditions. 244 flamens initiated globally, the completion of a specific architectural project in Vienna, and the transfer of the central treasury to a location outside Europe. You are now looking at the third layer of the secret. The first layer is the public history of Weishaupt. The second layer is the hidden history of Cagliostro. The third layer is the operational reality of the Illuminati as a continuing organization with a timeline that extends into the present. The Codex is not a historical document about the past. It is a blueprint for a system that is still running. The names on the blood contracts have changed. The vaults have moved. The ciphers have evolved. But the structure remains exactly as described in 1738. 7 degrees, 3 flames, a self-funding treasury, a network of influential members, and a countdown that may already have reached its final number. The genealogical registers from the Frankfurt Parish archives contain a name that appears nowhere in the standard Illuminati histories. A woman. Her name is recorded as Elizabeth von Stauffenberg, born 1721, died 1798. The Codex names her as the first female initiate, a seeker who advanced to the rank of witness within 2 years. She was the daughter of a Hessian diplomat, fluent in 4 languages, and had access to the courts of every major German state. The manuscript describes her role as a recruiter of other women, a network that grew to 37 members by 1750. These women were not decorative. They held positions as court secretaries, tutors to noble children, and translators of diplomatic correspondence. They fed information directly to the lodge in Rome. The official histories of the Illuminati never mention women, but the Codex devotes an entire chapter to their operations, listing each woman by her code name and her primary target. The Codex then shifts to something that changes the scale of the entire operation. It describes a branch of the Illuminati that existed not in Europe but in the British colonies of North America. The manuscript names a lodge established in Philadelphia in 1743, 5 years after the founding in Rome. The founder of that lodge was a man named Benjamin Franklin. Franklin was not yet a famous inventor or diplomat. He was a printer, a postmaster, and a member of the Masonic Lodge of St. John in Philadelphia. The Codex claims that Franklin was recruited by a Venetian merchant who visited Philadelphia in 1742. The merchant carried a letter of introduction from Cagliostro himself. Franklin accepted the invitation, traveled to Rome in secret, and returned to Philadelphia as a witness. He then established Lodge of the Inner Flame in America, the first cell outside Europe. The minutes of the Lodge of St. John from 1743 record an unexplained absence by Franklin of exactly 2 months. The official explanation was a printing tour. The Codex says otherwise. The Philadelphia Lodge grew quickly. It recruited merchants, lawyers, and 3 members of the Pennsylvania Assembly. The Codex names each recruit, including a man who would later serve as a delegate to the Continental Congress. The manuscript describes the Lodge's primary mission, to ensure that the colonies would be receptive to a war of independence when the time came. The Lodge funded newspapers that published anti-British articles. It financed the shipment of arms to colonial militias. It coordinated with lodges in Paris and London to create a unified resistance network. The War of 1776 was not a spontaneous rebellion. It was a planned operation designed and executed by an organization that had been preparing for it for 33 years. The Codex goes further. It names the date that Franklin received the order to proceed with the revolution. The order came from Rome, carried by a messenger who traveled under the guise of a Catholic priest. The date was December 17, 1772. The content of the order was simple: prepare the colonies for conflict, target no earlier than 1774, no later than 1776. The manuscript includes Franklin's reply, written in cipher and decoded in the margins. The tree is ready. The fire will be lit on schedule. The reply is dated January 4, 1773. The fire was lit 4 years later. Now consider how the rest of the story changes. The American Revolution is taught as a spontaneous uprising against tyranny. The Codex presents it as a masterfully timed political operation executed by a secret society that had embedded itself in the colonies for 3 decades. The names you know, Washington, Jefferson, Adams, were not Illuminati initiates. The Codex does not list them, but the men who financed them, who supplied their armies, who wrote their newspapers, were lodge members. The war was not about freedom from taxation. It was about replacing one power structure with another, one more aligned with the Illuminati's long-term goals of building a global grid. The Codex states the goal explicitly: a nation without a king, where the council may operate without oversight. The manuscript then returns to Europe and describes a crisis that nearly destroyed the order. In 1757, the Lodge's bank in Geneva failed. The Zaccaria family had overextended its investments. The Illuminati lost 10,000 ducats, nearly half its treasury. The Codex records the emergency meeting that followed. The 3 flames at the time, Cagliostro, a Venetian senator, and a cardinal, voted to dissolve the Lodge's financial arm and transfer all remaining assets to a new bank in Frankfurt. The bank was known as Bethmann and Sons, a name that would become central to European finance over the next 2 centuries. The Codex includes the account number and the name of the account holder, the Invisible College. The bank still exists today. The account number is still active. No one has ever been able to trace it. The Codex devotes a full page to the description of a ritual that was performed at the transfer ceremony. The flames and the eyes gathered in the chamber beneath the Palazzo della Cancelleria. They burned the old contracts. They signed new ones. They placed the new contracts in a new vault, this one built beneath a church in Frankfurt. The church is the Katharinenkirche. The vault was dug in 1758 and has not been opened since the date of its sealing. The Codex states that it will be opened only when the countdown reaches its final number. The church's current administration denies that any vault exists beneath the building. The Bavarian State Archives have a record of the construction permit issued in 1759 for the excavation of a crypt beneath the Katharinenkirche. The permit is on file. It is public. It lists the project as private funerary chapel. The investigators who have seen the Codex describe the last few pages as the most unsettling. The manuscript shifts from historical narrative to a series of predictions. The predictions are written in the future tense. They describe events that, at the time the Codex was written, in 1764, had not yet occurred. The first prediction, the formation of a single German state, unified under Prussian leadership, by the year 1871. The second prediction, the collapse of the Austrian Empire after a war that begins in the Balkans. The third prediction, the rise of a European power that attempts to eliminate all secret societies, causing a fragmentation of the Illuminati network into 3 independent branches. The predictions continue for several pages. Some have already come true, some have not. The final prediction is the one that haunts the researchers. When the year 2024 arrives, the gate will open and the flame will be revealed for the first time in 300 years. The Codex does not explain what the gate is. It does not describe what the flame's revelation will look like. It only states that the conditions for this event were set in motion at the founding in 1738, and that the final step depends on a single remaining bloodline. That bloodline, the Codex claims, traces directly from Cagliostro to a family that still exists, still active in European finance, still keeping the original contract in a vault that has not been opened since Cagliostro's death. The family name is listed in the last line of the manuscript, a house in Milan. The name of the house is written in Latin, Domus de Medici. The Medici name reappears throughout the Codex, not as patrons of the arts, but as the family that funded the first Illuminati treasury. The manuscript states that Cosimo de' Medici, in the 14th century, established a secret bank account specifically for the purpose of financing what he called the Order of the Invisible Flame. That account was inherited by his descendants, passed down through each generation, untouched and unknown to anyone outside the family. When Cagliostro needed capital for the lodge in Rome, he approached the Medici family's representative in Venice. The money was transferred within a week. The Codex includes the receipt. 500 gold ducats deposited in the name of the Lodge of the Inner Flame, recorded in the Medici family's private ledger. The receipt exists. 500 gold ducats recorded in a private Medici ledger, transferred to the Lodge of the Inner Flame. If you want to follow the trail of that money, through the family vaults in Milan, into the Archivio di Stato in Florence, down to the present-day descendants who still hold the contract, subscribe to this channel, and in the comments write the name of the house, Domus de' Medici. The ledger itself is still held in the Archivio di Stato di Firenze. It is cataloged under the family's correspondence, not under any separate financial records. A researcher in 2008, working on a biography of Cosimo de' Medici, discovered the entry. She recognized the name of the lodge because she had read a reference to it in a declassified CIA file from 1976. The CIA file mentioned the lodge in a footnote as part of a report on Italian secret societies that might have influenced post-war politics. The footnote read, "Lodge of the Inner Flame, established in Rome in 1738, believed to be the precursor to the Bavarian Illuminati. No further information available." The researcher connected the dots. She published her findings in a small academic journal in 2009. The article was read by approximately 40 people. It was never cited by any major historian. The codex ends with an instruction. It tells the reader to close the manuscript, return it to its place in the archives, and tell no one that they have seen it. It states that the knowledge contained within the pages is protected by a seal that cannot be broken by force, only by the death of the last initiate. The seal is physical, a ring stamped into the last page, bearing the symbol of the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail. The ring impression is faint but visible. It matches the ring worn by Cagliostro in his only authenticated portrait, painted in 1788 and now held in the Musée du Louvre in Paris. The portrait shows a man in dark robes, one hand raised, a ring on his index finger. The ring's design is identical to the impression in the codex. The painting has been examined by art historians for 200 years. None of them have ever explained why the ring appears to show a snake eating its own tail that is also a torch. The torch is a symbol of the Illuminati. The ring confirms the connection. The codex does not reveal the Illuminati's location today. It does not name the current flames. It does not describe the gate. It only provides a map drawn on the inside of the cover, a map of Europe marked with 7 dots. Each dot corresponds to a city: Rome, Frankfurt, Paris, London, Vienna, Philadelphia, and a 7th that is scratched out past legibility. The map is drawn in ink that has faded to near invisibility. Infrared imaging performed on the codex in 1999 revealed the 7th location, a city in the northern part of a country that did not exist at the time the map was drawn. The city appears to be Berlin. The country is Germany. The codex sits in the vault of the Bavarian State Library to this day. Its catalog entry is public. Its request procedure is standard. Any accredited researcher can fill out the form, wait for the approval, and sit in the reading room with the same manuscript that Cagliostro himself wrote. The approval process takes approximately 4 weeks. The reading room allows only pencils, no cameras, and no notes that leave the premises. The manuscript must be returned to the vault before the library closes. The researchers who have seen it have not published their findings. They have not spoken publicly. The seal is not physical. It is psychological, the knowledge that you have seen something that the council does not want seen, and that the safest response is silence. The codex claims the gate will open in the year 2024. The year is now. The conditions have been met. 244 flamens initiated across the globe. The architectural project in Vienna completed. The central treasury transferred to a location outside Europe. The name of the treasury's new location is not in the codex. It was added later, in a hand that matches the handwriting of one of Cagliostro's known associates. The note appears in the margin of the final page, written in a different ink, dated 1817. The treasury is now held by the house that bought the original vault. The house that bought the original vault is still in operation. Its name appears in the financial registers of every major European exchange. It is the same house that holds the blood contract from 1738. It is the same house that manages the Medici inheritance. It is the same house whose name will be spoken when the gate opens. The manuscript offers one last detail. It says that when the gate opens, the flame will be revealed not as a person, but as a single sentence, a piece of knowledge that has been hidden for 300 years. The sentence concerns the nature of power itself. It is, according to the Codex, the answer to the question that every initiate from the seeker to the flame has been trying to learn. The Codex does not state what that answer is. It only says that the answer was written on a single sheet of paper, inserted into the vault beneath the Katharinenkirche on the day of its sealing, and that the paper will be removed only when the gate opens. The paper may no longer exist. The vault may never be opened. The gate may never reveal itself. But the Codex is real. The vault is real, and the conditions for the opening have been met. The year is now. The silence is voluntary. The evidence is on a shelf in Munich, waiting for someone to ask for it by its catalog number. The answer is in the vault beneath the church, if the vault still exists, if the paper still survives, if the gate ever opens. You now know where to look. The choice is not whether to believe. The choice is whether to go.